Then I'll have another person to visit.
So, we were going to do top 10 tips for infrastructural development.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, like creating the parallel structure, right?
Parallel structure.
Creating parallel structures because, like, why are we doing the top 10 tips? Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about the top 10 tips to create a parallel structure because the government is an imposter, and like, we have to create these parallel structures so we can survive in a more egalitarian environment. Number one, grow your own food. Organic, compost, grow it. And grow things all over town. Like, just plant everywhere.
Guerrilla gardening?
Guerrilla gardening. Exactly, Mary. So, like, you want to do your guerrilla gardening. You want to, like, break up concrete wherever you can and grow things. Grow it on, like, make your lawn into a beautiful
community gardens.
Community gardens. Everyone can stop by and pick up what they need. Time banks, really good idea.
Yeah, so this was all new to me. How does that work?
So time banks are really cool because, like, as you were talking about, like, man money, like, what were you calling it? Man dollars.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, the less we participate in capitalism, the better off we are. So time banks are really great because basically you put into a time bank, like, let's say I'm a massage therapist and I'm going to put 30 hours a week into the time bank. Well, I need a plumber, I need, like, someone to paint my house, I need blah, blah, blah. So, like, if I'm putting in 30 hours a week, I can take out 30 hours a week, maybe 10 hours for, like, the plumber and 10 hours, so on and so forth, or 10 hours for a babysitter, or whatever, or dog sitter, or whatever. So basically, it's the barter system, but a little bit more complex to serve our more complex society.
And organize who has what skills and who's available for what kind of service.
Right, exactly. So time banks are really great. That's creating a parallel structure right there. Free schools. Okay, we're all in debt. We all have student loans.
Is this free school, for instance? Would this be considered free school? Like,
right.
You're teaching me things. I'm learning.
Right. We're sharing information.
Yeah, and we're sharing with the internet.
So, like, also the concept of sharing, not educating, which is kind of like a superior, inferior paradigm, but more like everybody has information to share and skill sets to share.
And everybody's an expert in something.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So more like sharing information. So, like, having these free schools where we can share information. Yeah. I can do an hour on Kropotkin or something.
Or, like, we'll have to do that. So that would be like, but a little bit of structure. Like, I could say at 12 is my...
Right, you have classes. You can have classes, right. Okay. So, and there's free schools popping up everywhere, right? So, like...
And that deals with a lot of the problems of all the student debt and, like, oppressive structures within academia.
Right.
Oh, great.
Exactly. Like, also, like, living, and this is kind of difficult because we all kind of need our alone time and we need, like, our space, and we need to figure out ways of navigating that. But I really feel like if more people lived collectively, like, even if we had, like, land that we take over, because the land does belong to the people, not the banks. But if we had some land we took over and we built, like, separate structures, so maybe you live separately but on the same land and everyone farmed the same land, and then you would also have, like, this idea of, like, you have the holistic health house, you have the schoolroom, you have, like, kind of like a kibbutz. Right.
Yeah, which for people who are not familiar with that, in a nutshell,
a collective farm. Which could have a factory or whatever, and there's a school, and then, like, if you want to go off, then you're for 2 years in the city, then that's paid for. If you want to go to Sorbonne, that's paid for because you've already put into
a collective, and then it wants the education.
So the staunch, like, the individual is protected, loved, and encouraged. So your individuality.
Wow.
So you're not an automatron. We are the board collective. More like we,
And you're not thrown away after your labor is exploited.
No, absolutely not. The elderly have so much wisdom, and we, like, literally would sit at their feet and listen to them. So, like, talk about free school, like, so this whole idea of, like, developing the strong and educated individual, and who puts forth towards the collective.
Okay, so where are we on terms of counting our 10?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so what's something else?
Okay.
Sorry. I'm trying to stay with the structure.
Okay.
That's not my forte.
I'm an anarchist.
I know, right?
Okay, so we have time banks, living collectively, free schools, and okay, so then we need to talk about transportation. So so there's a couple of different things: bikes, biodiesel, all of those things.
Yeah.
Like really trying to work towards like kind of getting off the grid.
Or just also localized structures where
Right.
if you have a community that you can walk to everything.
Right. And maybe there's like a shared truck if you need to go somewhere kind of far. Right. Exactly.
Cool.
So like kind of getting off the grid a little bit. So there's that. So like thinking about transportation and all of that. So those are a couple of things. So
what about like one thing that I think about constantly is my dedication to making media, and I'm making blogs and YouTubes and nobody pays me, and it's kind of this feeling of like the collective experience of being a historian, or like sharing the wisdom or sharing experiences, that in a way finding a way to facilitate people who gravitate towards that.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's kind of an interesting thing because I think we all like want to get away from things being monetized, and so like, but then and then like archiving all this information is really important.
Right.
But there is the IMC, and there's like all sorts of like independent media sources. Right. So like like this so we actually have like a whole like gosh, so many independent media sources at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think that like kind of idea of the individual blogger and the idea of the independent media center and the idea of like all these like sources, infoshop.com and like a couple others I can't think of right now, but like these like libraries like they have information. So that, I think that's absolutely.
And well, there's also the idea of the Cyber Senior Center, which I ran by you yesterday.
Oh, and that is
so
really great.
Like 8? Are we at 8 yet?
Right. So so the cyber, and that could actually interface with the time bank, or like if we're not quite there yet.
It's like respecting the elderly and helping preserve their knowledge and wisdom. Right.
So like that's a really, you want to talk about
this? Like the idea basically getting Gen Y in jobs doing technological development with elders who maybe have plenty of computer skills or none, or they're afraid of computers, and at all different levels teaching like email skills, Skyping skills, maybe Photoshop, maybe even graphic design or any kinds of things that are more higher level. But then basically like we have a large level of unemployment among the Gen Y, and basically recognizing their skill set, getting them involved where they have possibly monetized work that's not just an unpaid internship with no pension, where I feel like the responsibility that the elders could show to us could also transfer a lot of their wisdom and social graces and cultural things, and it could work on so many levels towards being historian, job satisfaction, and getting elderly pensioners out of their apartment where they have very little to live on a Social Security pension. Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. Oh, sorry. So my foot fell asleep. Sorry. I think that's a really wonderful idea, and I love it. And going back to the community gardens too, Sesway Herring, who's a wonderful person, Earth Matters Green Jobs in Nashville, Tennessee, they would pick up the seniors, and the seniors would work in the rose gardens, and like and the kids would come, and like so like there was like this idea of like all of this multi-generational like space,
rebuilding the community, and
exactly,
bringing people together.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. So those are a few ideas about like getting off the capitalist roller coaster that hurts us all. That's inherently violent.
Right. With the roller coaster implies up and down, but lately it's just felt like down.
Down, right. And hurts some people more than others.
Yeah, right. Wow. And moderating our police interactions, or maybe creating alternative methods of policing, in the sense of like I mean, what Portland Cop Watch
Right.
does is amazing.
Well, like Cop Watch, but also like I think that like nonviolent communication training, de-escalation
right,
techniques,
conflict resolution,
conflict,
and
right?
yeah, and getting more of that. And I was thinking like this is basic anatomy, so we have police who are very aware of the long-term repercussions of some of their brutal tactics.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter,
That's
Mary. I really don't.
Overly optimistic.
I really don't think that's going to matter because they like I've been in the military and I'm telling you you become a robot. Like these people are militarized and they don't care. They don't care if they hurt you. They don't care what happens to your body. They don't care what happens to you emotionally. They don't care. Like you got to let go of that.
It just makes me want to do 101 YouTube videos about broken bones and activist injuries.
Yeah.
For educational purposes, even if only like 3 people watch them.
Right. No, I mean, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people who do care.
Yeah.
They just aren't police officers. They really aren't. And like they knew. I mean, I'm telling you,
compassionate policing. I would love it to go back to a kitty in the tree, like your sweet local town.
Yeah.
Like that.
That would be great.
Song.
But you know what? The kitty in the tree happened in White Town. You know what I mean?
And it was a red line town,
right?
With historic discrimination in connection to colonialism.
Because that same guy that got the kitty out of the tree for the white kid beat up the black kid.
Right.
So so that never really existed for everybody. It's just now the police are brutal to everybody. And so sorry,
chilling.
Sorry.
So that was top 10, possibly 8 or 9 or 10 tips towards permaculture.
Permaculture, is excellent. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Right, and then practicing yoga, or
self-care.
Martial arts or self-care, healthy things.
Yeah. Keeping yourself healthy is number one. Proactive, holistic healthcare. Teach yourself about nutrition. Teach yourself about physical activity. Yeah. So you have the power. You have the knowledge. Ask if you go to the doctor. Ask questions. Yeah. Inform yourself. Be an advocate for yourself. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Eva.
Thank you, Mary.
Yay.